Hello and welcome to another episode of our midweek toast to toss to cover the IPL. These are some special episodes we are doing because there's so many matches this IPL, and we didn't want to wait a whole week to cover these matches. So another episode today. We hope you like what we're doing. If you do, like we always request, please like, share, subscribe to our channel and share our videos with your friends. All right, today who do we have? We have Bidhu and myself, and the games we're going to cover are the games on Wednesday and Thursday. So let's get started with the first game, which was an absolute thriller. This was between Gujarat Titans and Sunrisers Hyderabad. SRH flying high after their game against Royal Challengers Bangalore came up against a spirited Gujarat Titans. Your initial thoughts or your thoughts about the game, Bidhu?
I mean, as a fan, when I watch Gujarat Titans, I'm confused whether they are actually winning the games because of an element of luck, like luck has been doing wonders for them, or they are just built a side which is going to play like this. Because they gave me the vibe of the Rajasthan unit of 2008. They were not a very fancy team, but they had enough players finding ways to score runs or get wickets and defeat the opposition. And they did it for the entire tournament and lifted the IPL. And till the halfway stage, Gujarat has been doing that. I mean, Tewatia had won them against Punjab with last ball sixes, two sixes of last ball. Rashid Khan rescued them against CSK from a situation where they had lost 5 or 6 wickets halfway through the chase. And last game, where both Rashid and Tewatia, who are not the deemed finishers, they are just bowlers who can bat. And they came out firing all guns and especially hitting Marco Jansen, who had taken 3 wickets against RCB. Very confident bowler. And it is one of the premier bowlers. So very surprising that they are pulling this off. But I think if they play well, they will definitely make it to the top four.
Yeah. I mean, couple of points. Like I agree with what you said. If you look at their lineup, when we did our show after the auctions, we had kind of called it. We said that probably they're not as strong, and they have found players who can actually take the game away, and people who were not expected to. Like in this game, they had a Vridhiman Saha setting up a chase. Okay, a lot of people would not rate Vridhiman Saha so high to open and set up a chase, but in this game he did really well to set up a chase. So they had left out Matthew Wade and they got Rhythm and Saha, and they are able to get the best out of him. Now Marco Jansen, I've got an observation. So Marco Jansen is bowling beautifully at the beginning of the inning. So that whole over to RCB was kind of set up the match for SRH. But it does seem like in the last overs he does get punished because maybe this match, and then there was probably one other match which they lost, where I remember Marco Jansen probably going for runs in the last over. I might be wrong, but I have a feeling that Marco Jansen is not the best fit for the last over. Maybe they should be looking at a Bhuvi or a Natarajan, who maybe a Natarajan because he can do those Yorkers. That is probably one area where I thought SRH kind of lost the plot a little bit. They should have probably got Marco Jansen to bowl 18th over or 17th or an 18th over and then hold Natarajan back because Natarajan bowled the over before Jansen's over. But my God, what hitting by Tewatia and Rashid, right? I think Rashid was feeling really, really bad that his bowling, he did not bowl really well that day. So he kind of made up for misses in the bowling. I'm just thinking if it's possible, can we request Rashid to change his citizenship to India so that we have a finisher and a world class bowler to take to the World Cup?
I mean, that was a possible case when Taliban took over Afghanistan, right? They were not sure what the Afghanistan team would look like. And there were calls from big bash leagues that Rashid Khan come to Australia and some other teams. I mean, India would not really, I mean, India do have some spinners. We have our own Yuzi Chahal who is running with the purple cap, but there are teams who would prefer having a bowler of that kind. Not a bowler, in an all-rounder. He should be called an all-rounder now.
Correct. And he's got some really fancy shots. There is something very similar to the Dhoni's helicopter which he plays. And then there is a shot which he plays between the legs. So there's a video of Hardik Pandya interviewing Tewatia and Rashid Khan. And he's kind of asking them, is like, what do you call that shot which you hit between the legs, or one of those shots where you hit and then you pull back? I think they're calling it the snake bite shot. This is sab dasta hai, you hit it and then you pull back.
I mean,
It's a very
interesting was that
yeah.
video, because I also watched that video, and if just before that conversation, there was one point which Rashid Khan made. He said, if the opposition are able to hit me for 45 runs, then I should be able to hit their bowlers for how many ever runs is required. So I think that is rubbing off the entire team, the level of confidence that they have with Tewatia, and like they're just saying that if the opposition is going to hit us, we are definitely going to hit their bowlers as well. I'm glad that you brought up that interview.
Yeah, it was a very funny interview. I was just watching it sometime earlier today. And the other thing which I like about Tewatia is he is one of those people who exudes a lot of confidence. He's got a lot of self-belief in him. And maybe he turned a leaf in one of those Rajasthan games last season where, throughout the match, he probably could not put bat to ball. And then suddenly something happened and he went on to win them that game. Maybe that's given him a lot of confidence, because this season he's done it twice. Once against Punjab Kings, where he smacked Odean Smith for 2 sixes back to back. And then even in this game, he was kind of smacking Natarajan the previous over and then maybe setting it up. And he hit a 6 of the first ball of the 19th over and then took a single. But Tewatia is one of those characters whom you want to have in your team, who has amazing self-belief in themselves to get out of any situation they see themselves in. It's not necessary it will come up every time, but more often than not, that belief will help them carry over the line.
Right.
And words for Gujarat's bowling. I'm especially impressed with this youngster called Yash Dayal, right? That's the name. Again, yes. Brilliant with respect to his length, the way he's able to bounce, the pace he's able to generate. Of course, he's not an Umraan Malik. We will get to Umraan Malik, but he is handy. He's a good bowler who can improve with experiences and can be a talent to look forward.
Yeah, I mean, what he did is he gave that extra bit of cushioning, because in the initial games, if you observe, Vijay Shankar was a big part of Gujarat Titans, and he was supposed to bowl a few overs. Then Hardik Pandya was actually opening the bowling. He suffered that injury and he is not now bowling. So if there was any chinks that was actually starting to show, Yash Dayal has started to cover it up. So, I mean, that has led them to continue winning. Great news for them.
Got it. I think the only thing which I want to, this is again a wish with Gujarat Titans winning so much. I don't think they would want to tinker with anything. But I definitely think Abhinav Manohar is batting way lower. They might do a good job, or it might help his game to probably bring him up 1 down or 2 down. If Hardik wants to come 1 down, then maybe Abhinav Manohar comes after Hardik and before David Miller, so that there is David Miller, then there is Tewatia and Rashid Khan to finish off the games for them. That's probably the only change I would like to see. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it seems like they've the stars they have picked up are firing. Shami is firing, Rashid Khan is firing, Pandya is firing, and all the other support staff they have seem to know what their role is, and they seem to be performing really well from what is expected from them. And a word for SRH.
I think they have done well to be in the position where they are right now. Yes, there would be defeats in such a long tournament, but I think they would be really happy with the form that the bowlers are showing, especially Umraan Malik, because there are a lot of teams for whom the retained players are not performing well, but for SRH, whoever they have retained have actually performed. And because I'm talking about Umraan Malik, I have to say that yes, the pace that he generates is something which everybody is excited of. But if you look at the game, just the last match, he took 5 wickets, and out of the 5 wickets, the first one was Ridhiman Saha. He hit the top of off stump. Hardik Pandya, he just rattled him with the bouncer, and then he took his wicket with the bouncer. David Miller, I think he hit the middle stump. Subman Gill yorked him, and Abhinav Manohar full length at pace. So in that one game, he showed a lot of variations and a lot of deceptions in his armory. So I, for one, yes, pace is there, but the kind of range and the diversity that he showed, I think it really excites me. I'm happy for SRH. I'm happy for the Indian cricket team, and it is such a pity that he just finished the match on a dressing room, which was a losing team. But as
Yeah,
I think, yeah, with Bhuvneshwar Kumar,
no,
Natarajan to accompany them in the death overs, Washington Sundar coming into the team, I think they are looking really good now.
yeah, it does seem like their bowling unit used to always be strong, and they have continued with that philosophy. Their batting's kind of firing, and Shashank Singh, right, who probably did not get a match or did not get to play for the last 6 matches because the batsmen were finishing it, kind of showed that he also has the range of shots to play and come and play that kind of innings which can take the score from a 160 or a 170 to a 190. So they seem to be ticking all the boxes. Just that I think they just need to kind of figure out who their death over bowler is. But yeah, I would love to see Umraan Malik go to the World Cup. I know it might be too early, but it's worth taking him there for that experience because we'll have Bumrah, there's Shami, there's Yuzvendra Chahal, then I'm sure there is Siraj and everybody. But I definitely think that Umraan Malik should be taken there just for the sheer pace and the bounce which the Australian pitches will generate and unleash him on a couple of teams to see what he does.
Yes, with the declining form of Bhuvneshwar Kumar, unless he picks up his form in the last few games, I don't think why Umraan Malik cannot get a ticket to Australia. He's performing really well. And just to stick with SRH, I think they needed one of Priyam Garg or Abhishek Sharma to get into form. Because if you see the Indian batting unit, yes, there is Kane Williamson, Aidan Markram, and Nicholas Puran. But the Indian outfit, Rahul Tripathi, Priyam Garg, Abhishek Sharma, one of them had to really come good. And Abhishek Sharma has done that for, I think, 3 games now, with some contributions of Rahul Tripathi, which has actually allowed them to put on runs whenever they have batted first. So they would be really happy because they let go of Rashid Khan. Once you let go of a player of that caliber, you would really have to have something special out of the players that you have retained.
That is true. Yeah, okay. So that was one of the exciting matches for this week with whatever has happened. We would definitely rate the SRH versus Gujarat Titans game at the top. If you haven't watched it, we would highly recommend you to go watch the highlights on Hotstar. It'll be worth every minute of your time. All right, moving on to the next game, which is Delhi Capitals versus KKR. Now, what seemed like a dead match at the halfway stage kind of turned upon its head again, thanks to the brilliance of Umesh Yadav, that burst which he did in the center.
Yes, I mean, obviously a question to you after I answer this. Like, I know you are a fan of RCB, but what frustrates you more? The RCB not making it to the top 4 or KKR just changing and chopping the sides? I would love to hear that from you. But the point that you are making, I think the game was competitive only because Delhi Capitals. I think it was a straightforward chase and halfway mark at 82 for 2 with Rishabh Pant on the crease. I think they would have gone for picking up the run rate, but Rishabh Pant got out and Akshay Patel got himself run out. And that's why you can see the scoreboard shows the game was competitive. But the game was lost the moment they scored 140 with the way David Warner was striking. I think the match was already lost. It was a point of how quickly Delhi Capitals can win this chase because they are in the middle of the table with 4 wins, 4 losses. And if they have to target the top 4, they would be targeting the 4th spot or 3rd spot. And run rate is a crucial factor at that position. So it was much of a question of how quickly they can finish the game.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, it seems like David Warner has turned. It was great to see him, the old David Warner, the attacking David Warner, come up in this game. And you're right. It almost seemed like he was bossing the game till that whole middle phase happened. Now, one of the things I want to touch upon, sorry, what was the earlier question? How sad is it to see ex-RCBians performing well for other teams?
So, like as an RCB fan, which is more frustrating? Obviously, RCB not able to get into the top 4, or just looking at KKR side and not seeing a stable side in the last 3-4 years. Like, what are they doing? Why do they find themselves in such a position where in the midway they have more questions like who the openers should be, who are the bowlers, which are the playing 11? I don't think they have a set answer to that. So, which is more frustrating to you?
Well, I think at this moment, everything outside of RCB is frustrating because RCB still has 10 points, and I'm hoping that they can get some of the things sorted. Rather than, I hope they get Anuj Rawat back, or they give a game to Mahipal Lomro, which is what I'm hoping will happen tomorrow when they play Gujarat Titans. I hope they get Mahipal Lomro into the middle order somewhere, and then continue to open with Kohli and De Villiers. Sorry, Kohli and Faf du Plessis.
Okay, I thought you would open with Anuj Rawat and Faf du Plessis and then Mahipal Lomro at 3.
No, yeah, I think they have to. They either give Kohli the opening slot or one down. I don't think they will give him anything other than that. But anyways, we will get to RCB. But yeah, we RCB fans have gotten used to the fact that all our ex-RCB players seem to play really well when they go to other teams. There are some exceptions this season, which is what we're happy about, like Timal Mills and then Daniel Sams and maybe a Jaide Unatkat, all of them congregated in Mumbai. But all the other ex-RCB stars, be it Umesh Yadav for KKR, be it Chal for RR, and be it, I think DDP hasn't set the IPL on fire, but there's a fair possibility he could have some couple of good innings. And be it Shivam Dubey for CSK. Something happens to them the moment they leave RCB. It's like a power is unlocked in them, and they seem to then perform really well. But going back to KKR, what is ailing KKR's management? I thought they had Venkatesh Iyer keyed in as their opener, right? You stick with that choice for a whole season. Why would you want to shuffle him up and down and confuse a youngster who has done so well for you and you have retained him? I just did not get that logic. The second problem I have with KKR is Sunil Narayan is a good surprise option in power play. Okay, you can bring him in as a pinch hitter if one of your left-handers go off. So if they stick with Venkatesh Iyer as your opener and Aaron Finch as your right-hander, Venkatesh Iyer gets out, you send in Sunil Narayan to maintain the right-left combination. Some days it will come off, some days it won't come off. I get that. What is the whole idea of trying to send Sunil Narayan every single time just out of position? Because I don't think the opposition is surprised anymore. It seems like KKR themselves are surprised that they're sending Sunil Narayan in positions where he's not able to perform and he gets out and comes back. I just did not get the logic of sending him against a rampaging Kuldeep Yadav. That's the second problem I have. Third problem is, why would you not continue to play Pat Cummins and why would you bring Saudi in? Especially after Pat Cummins had played that stellar blindfolded innings to get you a win. Why not continue with Cummins? And please help me understand what is happening with KKR's thought process.
Wow. You did put me in a spot, but I'll try to answer as much as possible. So the first thing I correctly mentioned in the auction table, I think that's where the problem starts. Brendan McCullum has been associated with KKR for the last 3 years, and I think bigger part of his campaign has been on the disappointing side with more losses than wins. I feel players like MS Dhoni, Brendan McCullum are good captains because they're very instinctive players. They chop and change a lot with the playing 11 in the field. And even if things go wrong, they have the agile mind to take corrective actions. But when they pass information to someone else, like in case of CSK, MS Dhoni passing information to Jadeja, or in KKR camp, Brendan McCullum passing information to Suraj and Bidhu, I think they cannot take those instinctive decisions. They fail to carry forward in terms of execution side of things. I think that is the first thing. Second thing is, again, at the auction, look at the players that they let go. They definitely let go of Dinesh Karthik, performing well for RCB. Let go of Kuldeep Yadav, performing well against all the oppositions for when he's playing for Delhi. They let go of Rahul Tripathi, who I feel was a much better choice than Venkatesh Iyer, at least. And they retained Varun Chakravarti, who is now out of the squad, team. So I think it's complete mess out there. With respect to Sunil Narayan, with whatever contributions he has made as a batsman, I feel he has done it when he was opening the innings, when the power play, the fielders were all inside the circle, and there were pace bowlers bowling. Now, you rightly mentioned, against the Kuldeep Yadav, Sunil Narayan is a very bad choice, unless they have told Sunil Narayan that number 4 is what you are going to bat, irrespective of whatever happens in the match situation. So if that is the case, then again, as a middle order batsman, Nitish Rana is far better than Sunil Narayan to be in that position. Coming to Pat Cummins, again, he's that type of a bowler like Marco Jansen. Like, he's not a T20 bowler. People find it out. He has the right amount of pace conducive for big hitting. But if you are going to play him as a batsman, play him maybe instead of an Andrew Russell. Pick a choice, like either Russell or Pat Cummins, because they are that kind of a player who will bat well really in one game, but you never know what will come off. They might be out duck first ball in some games. But I think someone like a Team Saudi was needed, because you started giving games to Shivam Mavi, then you took him out. There was some other player like Rasid Salam who was brought in. So there was no support for Umesh Yadav. And you need at least one more bowler who can swing in, pick up early wickets. So there was a need of Team Saudi. And that's why Pat Cummins was out. But yeah, I mean, it is a loss to the batting unit as well when Pat Cummins is not there.
Yeah. I mean, interesting point you made there. Again, I never understood KKR's fascination with. They have had Shivam Mavi for some 4 or 5 seasons now. They only give him 2 or 3 games. Whenever he gets a game, he seems to show brilliance, but then he's carted away. I don't know what they're doing with him. I think he can be developed by getting more games, but for some reason, they in the last couple of seasons, I haven't seen them invest on him to develop into a dependable bowler. But interesting point in the choice between Cummins and Saudi. So that's interesting to know why Saudi was preferred over Cummins. I think KKR also had another bowler called Kamlesh Nagarkoti. There was a point when we were all excited with Shivam Mavi, Kamlesh Nagarkoti, 2 Indian-bred pace bowlers who I think were a part of the Under-19 World Cup a couple of years ago and could have developed into better bowlers. But I don't know if KKR has necessarily used their talent effectively and have given them the kind of grooming. But moving on from KKR, happy with Kuldeep Yadav's performance? I mean, he seems to be a different bowler. Maybe he had a special ball or a special performance against KKR for what was how they treated him last season. Maybe he did not like it. Maybe he's a confident sort of bowler, right? The more he bowls, the more wickets he takes, the more confidence he gets. The more he's put on the sidelines, it does seem like he may not necessarily perform. But were you surprised and happy that Kuldeep is getting his Midas touch back again?
Yeah, I think much has to go with the captain or the team management. I think KKR did not utilize him well. Rightly, they're not utilizing Shivam Mavi or Nagarkoti well either. But the Delhi management have been treating him well. He is actually going for more runs than a Yuzi Chahal, but that is expected of bowlers who are risk spinners. So they are going to go for runs. But if you can see in his way he's approaching the game, the catch that he took off his own bowling, it was a fantastic catch that he had took. So in terms of his approach, in terms of his confidence, attitude, he's doing well. And that's what helping him pick wickets. And also he has a good support around him. There is Akshar Patel and all those bowlers which Delhi have, Mustafizur. They are actually piling on pressure. And when batsmen are pressurized from other bowlers, they have to go after Kuldeep Yadav. And that is what is making him pick up a lot of wickets. But glad that he has given all the games. And the more such kind of bowlers are there in the games, the more they would be getting into the rhythm and the more effective they would be in picking up a lot more wickets.
Yeah, I think I'm just thinking aloud here. We should call this episode the return of KUL-CHA, because after a long period in IPL for 2 different teams, Kuldeep is performing well, Charles is performing well. So when there was a point where they really performed well for India, now I think we should call this episode the return of KUL-CHA in IPL, because it's exciting to see both of them performing well, and hope we can take them to the T20 World Cup and then they can continue to repeat the performances there.
Yeah, and one thing about KUL-CHA, just the point that you're making. Yes, they're performing well, and they've actually dismantled that hypothesis that they can only perform well when they're together. Now, for different teams, they're performing well, and they're showing individually they're great bowlers as well. Chahal is performing in tandem with Ravi Ashwin, and Kuldeep Yadav is performing well with Akshar Patel, which shows that even if they are not together, it's not that you have to select both of them together for India to get wickets. You can select either of them, and they would do well for India.
Yeah. I think your earlier point also makes sense, that they need to have a bowling unit which will pile on pressure on the batsman, and the batsmen then have no other option other than going after them, which will increase the chances of picking up wickets. And because both of them have a loop, they loop the ball, they flight it, and they deceive the batsman in that flight, and that will happen when the batsmen have no other option other than chase after them for big shots because the scoreboard pressure is mounting as all the other bowlers around them are keeping it tight. So that's a very, very valid point. How they can be effective. Word for Rovman Powell. Finally, Rovman Powell was able to finish a game.
Again, happy for him. And I was watching RR match. I think people are expecting a lot of him. I don't think he would have hit 6 sixes. I mean, it was going to be difficult. And just because the match got abrupted and they're saying that he could have hit those 6 sixes. But glad that he came out again and he got a chance to finish the game for Delhi Capitals. Because in the initial games, he was not among the runs and that was showing. But right now, given the fact that he has finished one game, he would have a lot more confidence going forward. And it actually makes the case for Andrik Nokke difficult to come in because he was one of the retained players. He looked like one of the players who would start for Delhi Capitals, one of the foreign players. But the more Rovman Powell plays, I think Andrik Nokke is going to sit out more often.
I would still say I still don't know how good Mitch Marsh is going to be. Okay, Mitch Marsh, maybe on bouncier wickets can be good, or I think he played really well in Dubai, but I have question marks over why are they trying to play Mitch Marsh, because in both the games against the game which he played against RCB, technically as an RCB fan, I would have given Mitch Marsh the man of the match because he pretty much sucked the momentum out of that game. And he was struggling so badly that the score pressure mounted on everybody else around him. Even yesterday's game, I don't think he did anything great. So, and if you're not getting the bowling services of Mitch Marsh, what is the point of having him? You'd rather replace him with Andrik Nokke, who can, with pace, get you wickets. Or I don't know what their choice is. Do they have another choice? If they take out Mitch Marsh, who will they replace him with?
Yeah, I was just trying to get to the squad of Delhi Capitals, but for some reasons my internet is not working. So I'm not sure who are the batsmen who can replace Mitchel Marsh. So there is David Warner and Prithvi Shaw obviously opening. There is Rishabh Pant in the middle order. You have Akshay Patel, Shardul Thakur towards the end. But Lalit Yadav is there. But who are the other batsmen in Delhi squad? Can you just help me out here?
Yeah, let me check. But my laptop is too far off. But we'll figure that out, and then we will try and get a solution
put
to
in the comments who are the right players for Delhi Capitals as batsmen.
Yes. We'll ask the audience. With we not being able to pull up, we for those of you who are watching the show, whoever will watch the show later, please let us know who you think should be a like-for-like replacement or a better replacement for Mitch Marsh, because I definitely think he performed really well for them and strengthen their bowling further and probably go a batsman shot.
Sorry, I missed the last point.
Okay. I'm just saying they should strengthen their bowling and maybe go a batsman shot, because if they're able to restrict teams, then they don't need so many batsmen. And they should be able to make do with what they have. But yeah, I mean, it'll be a curious case of why they continue to select Mitch Marsh, and maybe like Riyan Parag, one of those matches he can perform really well, and then he will become undroppable. But let's see when Mitch Marsh can produce a performance. As long as the performance is not against RCB, I'm happy.
Mitchell Marsh also is an RCB product, right? I think 2016.
No. Was he? I'm not sure if he ever played for RCB.
I know Sean Marsh was in Punjab. Mitchell Marsh,
yeah, I hope
in Pune. I think he was in Pune.
Yeah, I think he was in Pune. Yeah.
All right.
But brilliant. On that note, we are good to wrap the show today. There's an exciting match which is happening between Punjab Kings and Lucknow Super Giants. We know how Lucknow crumbled, Lucknow crumbled against the pace of Kangiso Rabada. We hope Punjab Kings are able to chase the score. I don't know what the current score is. The last time I saw, they had lost 2 wickets for 45, 50 odd, but gunning for Punjab to win the game. But it'll be exciting if Lucknow can snatch victory from the jaws of defeat. All right, with that signing off. I'll see you soon for another episode. Till then, like we said earlier, please like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to put in comments who you think should be a replacement for Mitch Marsh. Should Delhi go for somebody? Thank you for your time, Bidhu. See you soon.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you so much. Always a pleasure having you. Bye.